Hello, entrepreneurs. Welcome to another amazing episode of How to Win at Business. My name is Joe DiChara, and if you're watching live, please give me a hashtag live. If you're watching the replay, please give me a hashtag replay. And welcome to a special Saturday afternoon version of How to Win at Business. And and I'll tell you, I don't usually do this on Saturdays. We I usually get ready for my mastermind with Joe DiChara. Actually, it's now mastermindwithjoe.com. I realized that the shorter URL is better, uh, and that's part of my story. I'm sticking with that. But the reason why I decided to go live this afternoon is because this issue of reasonable compensation, we have to talk about it. We have to get it down to what it really is. And this is what it comes down to. It's really about Social Security tax, folks. It's as simple as that. The only reason why the IRS wants S corporations and any other type of corporation for that matter to pay the owners what they call a reasonable compensation. Now, what does reasonable mean? There's no real definition, so there's all kinds of, almost arbitrary definitions of what reasonable is. What you got to look at, what other officers of similar industries are making, and the problem with this, there's a big problem that nobody is really talking about. And here it is. Social Security is messed up. Why do small business owners have to uh, pay a disproportionate amount of their income to keep Social Security going? And this is what I'm going to put out there. We should trash the whole Social Security system. It's not what it was meant to be. What it was meant to be was a rescue, a security blanket for people that were in total poverty, because the in the not so great depression that my grandparents went through, people were starving. You know, it's not like that now. People are starving, but more uh, due to other reasons. Okay, not because the government isn't bailing them out. It, it's the opposite. It's almost like now the government is bailing everyone out in all these different ways, and the bottom line is that it is on the backs of small business owners that can least afford it. We hear about these wealthy people not paying taxes. They're not paying income taxes. They're also not paying Social Security taxes. They've all maxed out. And guess what? They collect. Billionaires collect Social Security. And I'm not saying they're not entitled to it, because they paid in and that was the deal. But the deal now is different, folks. It's different. And I put things out there like, how does a business owner that's operating below poverty level, let's say they're netting 40 grand a year, and there's millions of them out there, how do you justify them taking a reasonable salary and paying the exorbitant amount of taxes in proportion what wealthy people pay? It makes no sense. Does it make sense? I have a client who in retirement is making over $1 million a year. That's his net income, adjusted growth, whatever it is, and he gets 36 grand a year, 3,000 a month in Social Security taxes. He maxed out for the whatever the full amount he could ever possibly get. He maxed out. Now, he donates a lot of money, so I can't, and I don't say that that's a bad thing. I mean, He's entitled to it. But we got to look at where we are now, folks. And first of all, a sole proprietor, a Schedule C, making 40,000 a year is has to pay $6,000 in self-employment tax, bringing his profit down to 34,000. You know, and this is why a lot of people don't pay their taxes or don't even file. They have to survive. So we have this thing called the S-Corp, where profits are not subject to self-employment tax. But the IRS and the government and the politicians are forcing people, trying to force and squeezing them into taking salaries. And then, and accountants are on board with them because accountants, they've been programmed. Hey, this is what the IRS says. Well, you know what? Just because the IRS says it, just because it's a rule, doesn't mean, number one, that it's right. And number two, it's open for interpretation. I think that if the IRS wants to go and audit millions and millions of people that are operating as S-Corps and not taking a salary, then let them do it. Let them audit them, and then let them all go to court and have the IRS prove once and for all that they need to be on a salary. Because the only reason that they want corporations to be on a salary is so that they could pay the employment taxes. The employment taxes that were meant to help them, because those are the people that are going to need Social Security. Warren Buffett doesn't need Social Security. Elon Musk doesn't need Social Security, but why are they still getting it? So they're still getting checks, and the poor guy that's a sole proprietor making 40 grand a year is paying into Social Security so that people like Warren Buffett can collect. This has to stop. This has to stop. The system is broken, and it's time to stop putting the burden on the backs of small business owners. We still have over 25 million sole proprietors here. And we have accountants, professional people they're telling them what the rules are. But I'm saying that the rules are wrong and the rules can be bent. And I want to bend them so far that somebody notices and challenges the government on this unfair tax. Okay, because that's what Social Security is, and unemployment. For years, I've had clients that own businesses and had to pay into unemployment. They were the only employees. They had to pay into unemployment, but guess what? If they had no work, they didn't qualify to collect unemployment. That doesn't seem right. That was never right until COVID came along and they actually said, oh, sole proprietors and, people that have corporations can now you could get unemployment insurance. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. But getting back to the whole reasonable compensation, it's not about reasonable compensation, folks. Reasonable compensation, the whole purpose of the topic of reasonable compensation had to do with big companies paying the owners, the founders, the officers exorbitant amounts of salary and trying to take a business deduction. So Section 162, the IRS says, it has to be reasonable. Well, they said, a guy running the president of a company getting a $3 million bonus is not reasonable. He should only get X amount of dollars. Well, where do they get these numbers from? Okay. the I could go into all kinds of quotes, all kinds of statistics, but the bottom line is that Social Security is broken. The whole system is backwards, and it's not about reasonable compensation. That's a smokescreen. That's a smokescreen, and they've been squeezing business owners through technology, through these bizarre laws that do not benefit business owners, and that's the but. This country was founded on capitalism, on business, and yet the smallest businesses are put at a great disadvantage because of Social Security and unemployment taxes. These are, there should be a an exemption. Let's say up to 40 grand, a small business owner does not have to pay into Social Security tax. Or how about this? Let's make it optional. I mean, we don't have the option. We don't have the option but to pay into Social Security. And there's no guarantee it's even going to be there. Eh, they keep kicking the can down the road. And it's time to stop kicking the can and just overhaul the whole freaking system. They use Social Security to balance the federal budget. They're playing all kinds of games with our money, with small business owners. Okay, real small business owners, which is a whole nother topic on how the IRS and the Small Business Administration even defines what a small business is. According to these SBA, a small business has up to 1,000 employees. No, no. Let's start with the 25 million sole proprietors. Those are small businesses. How do you lump them all together? There's something wrong with this picture, folks. And I'm going to be talking about it. And this is my mission. I found my purpose in life, and it's all about challenging the Social Security tax system. Okay, because that's the real issue. It ain't reasonable compensation. It's not about, reclassifying 1099 people, because that's another thing. They want to reclassify them so that they're paying into Social Security. Let's call it what it is. Okay. It's to get Social Security taxes. That's it. They don't care who they're going to hurt. They are hiring 87,000 IRS employees, and it's going to be a war. Believe me, folks, it's going to be a war, because this is going to come down to small business owners surviving or not surviving. That's what it comes down to. Okay, let's bring it out. Let's talk about what the real freaking issue is. It's not about figuring out what reasonable compensation is. That's a lark. That's a smokescreen. Okay? It's time to really look at the issue, which is, I don't want to hire an employee and pay all those payroll taxes. So, and I don't want to start a business and pay into Social Security tax. I want the option. If I wind up, old and broke and starving, then that's my problem. I don't need the government to take care of me. Okay? Look, give me the option. Okay? Stop putting smoke and mirrors up there. Let's call it what it is. It's the government needs the money. Okay, that's it. The politicians, big business, they want to keep sucking the small guy dry and keeping us down. That's not right, folks. That's just not right. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. Come to Mastermind with Joe DiChiara. And I will be back again for more ranting about the unfair Social Security taxes that we are all subject to. Okay. Time to end it. Thank you.